Now, the Lagos State is taking bold steps to strengthen its food systems through the newly launched Produce for Lagos Off-Taker Guarantee Fund, a major initiative aimed at boosting agricultural output and supply. Commissioner Abisola Olusonya says the program will tackle food insecurity by cutting post-harvest losses, improving transparency and building key partnerships with states like Niger, Taraba and Oyo. Though government regulated, the initiative will be powered by private sector investment, creating jobs across farming, logistics, storage and markets, while ensuring a steady food supply for Lagosians.
We need access to more lands to be able to grow foods for our people. And we know that there are groups, there are farms, there are businesses in other states in Nigeria that are doing this on large commercial scale. And for that reason, that partnership is crucial to our survival and to their survival as well. States like Niger that have the largest land mass in Nigeria and they have a very arable, fertile soil. Same states such as Taraba and so on and so forth. We see that partnerships with these states will be of necessity for us to ensure that we continue to have continuous food supply without interruptions. What happened during COVID-19 was just a snippet of how a tiny disruption can create chaos. And we do not want that to happen for our people and for our future. And we see that collaboration end-to-end is critical for us and for all. And so these partnerships will see us dovetail into what the Produce for Lagos program is really about. It's on 4 legs. The fund is one, which is where you have private sector investment coming into the space. Logistics is another bit of it. Post-harvest losses are one of the key challenges that our farmers face.
All right, well, joining us on the show this morning to tell us more about how the intention to achieve this initiative will be realized is Solape Hammond, former special advisor to Lagos State Governor and technical advisor, Produce for Lagos Initiative. Good morning and welcome to the program today.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
Well, Mrs. Hammond, good to have you on the program. Well, it's good that you are still involved. You are technical advisor to Lagos State, in and out, and in again.
They never really let you go out.
Anyway, but I would like to ask you, tomorrow there is a program, a 500 billion launch offtake fund program. What is that all about? Lagos is one of the states, Taraba, Niger, Zamfara, investing heavily in agriculture. I would also like you to tell us about private sector involvement, because you heard the commissioner saying the private sector is involved and partnership is also involved. If you could just take us through the details and what tomorrow is likely to be like.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much again for the opportunity. Let me attempt to set the context for Produce for Lagos. It's Produce for Lagos, but really this has catalytic impact across the entire nation. So today, Lagos is the largest market. We have over 20 million people here who need to be fed. And as the commissioner said, we know what happens when a city is stressed, a city particularly that does not provide the bulk of its own food. Most of our food is imported, whether from other states in the country or from out of the country. And so it's important that we can feed ourselves. So it's the market. But the other states are also production centers, and it's important as well. This initiative is important for them. It gives them clear aggregate demand, and it enables us to be able to work together to all improve the food system. So the Produce for Lagos initiative has 2 legs. There's the domestic leg. There are farmers in Lagos today. So many people say, oh, there's no land in Lagos. Lagos actually has about 40,000 hectares of arable land, and not a lot of it is developed. Not as much of it is developed. It's not fully developed, but there's a quantum that's developed. And part of this initiative is going to work with the domestic farmers to ensure that we can farm at least 24,000 hectares of that land and improve their yield. So they're a key part of this to produce in Lagos. However, the Produce for Lagos is then an initiative that partners with other states. And we will be working with the state governments, large farms and aggregators in those states to also be able to feed the market. As the commissioner said, there are 4 legs. There's the market itself, the wholesale market that we're building alongside the smaller mid-level markets like the one in Mushin that has been commissioned. Several others are in development. There's the logistics leg that will be managed by a company called Ecolog, which is also private government public-private partnership that will help to improve the logistics around food transportation, especially with regards to cold chain. And you will see some surprises tomorrow at the launch. There's the bulk food company, which would help to address this challenge between demand and supply. So today, if a farmer wants to sell food, typically they're in their farms, they're harvesting. They give food, usually on credit, to a party that goes to the markets, very often to Lagos, to sell. You know, sometimes it's a glut, they can't sell, they remit money to the market, to the farmer over 2 to 3 days. It's an entirely untidy system. The farmer doesn't get the money. The farm gate prices are so different from the market prices, and those benefits don't actually go to the farmer. It's lost along the way with payments to aggregators, payments to transporters, distributors, food losses. Food waste is estimated to be about 42% of the 11,000 to 13,000 tons of loss in Lagos per day. That's a huge amount of loss.
And that's a point that I'd also want us to focus a little bit on, because the Commissioner also referred to the post-harvest losses. We know that it's a huge issue that contributes massively to urban food inflation. I know you said there's some surprises, but can you just give us a little bit more information? Because this is a topic that has been unpacked in so many different forums by so many experts. How do we solve this farm to table, the challenges we have in getting food from farm to table in Nigeria?
So there are many parties along the way, so this doesn't intend to stand on its own. Everything I think Lagos does successfully works in collaboration. So there are many parties, many funds that are targeting the input side of things. They support the farmers, they support inputs, fertilizer, extension services, the works. What we want to focus on in this first fund is addressing that post-harvest challenge, which is why it's important that we have the logistics piece fixed as well and the market piece fixed. Even harvesting, I mean, you hear stories, people are ripening plantain with carbide. You hear so many things that are happening around the food standards challenge. We all buy food. Very often we don't know where that food is coming from. We don't know in what condition it was harvested and brought to us. There's so many things we don't know.
What they're doing to preserve it.
To preserve it, to ripen it quickly, so many things we don't know. What this aims to do is to bring that transparency. So all the parties, the farmer, the transporter, the aggregator, the distributor, and the final consumer can all see clearly. So what we will see tomorrow is a market that's good. Well, the larger wholesale market aims to be, we aim to open that, finish that and open that by the end of the year, but we have the smaller markets. So it's the integration between the markets and the existing markets. We're not disenfranchising anybody in the ecosystem. The logistics company and the farmer. We can provide guarantees to the farmer. If you sell your food, if you have food to supply, we will off-take that food and give you a guarantee. So the reason why it's important to have a fund is anybody can tell you I'll buy from you. You need proof that they can buy from you. You need to know that they actually have the money to buy from you. So the whole point of the fund is then to backstop the orders that will be coming through the bulk food company to ensure that people can see, yes, once I deliver to the standards, the quantity that has been required, I will get my payment immediately. It is, I mean, the farmers and the ecosystem is very excited about it. We've been getting calls because the ability to get paid transparently and on time is a very, very big saving.
Okay, so I have some knowledge in this area. This former pseudo-farmer, agriculturist, many things myself. And this is interesting, great stuff you're doing. But I want the details. Number one, you said you sort of act like a backstop, get their stuff out. And you get funds to be able to buy their stuff. Where do you store that? I'm sure you know about the agricultural boards and what bedeviled the agricultural board, because this is sort of like an agricultural board thing. Where is the transparency of government coming in sort of like an agricultural board? I mean, I don't want to bore you with narrative from the 60s, the cocoa boards of this world, and how it had to be pulled out there. When is the sustainability of the fund going to kick in? At what rate are you taking this money? Is it an interest-backed loans? Who is paying for it? At what percentage point? Where's the infrastructure to be able to store the food? You talk about logistics, it's not easy. You're talking about a lot of cold storage chain to store your pepper and your poultry and the likes. Are you buying vans? Are you buying buses? What are the people in the ecosystem? I just want pretty much details.
A few more details, fantastic. And I love the fact that you talked about the board. A lot of the agricultural boards, a lot of the things that you will see in this program are a mix of the things that have worked. So our cocoa boards and the boards, and again, I was only a baby in the 70s, very young. But I only have historical knowledge of it. But we do know one board that has worked successfully in Africa, Cocoa Board in Ghana. And that's a great model. Now, of course, that works, I think, primarily
It's got
because
its own challenges too, anyway.
It sure does.
Yeah.
But it works. I think it also works because it's government-led. But the fact is, it is possible to organize and support. And what they do really, really well is supporting those farmers, having that organized distribution system that you've talked about, the warehousing, the collection. The processes are clear. And again, the final end demand. The Ghanaian government, through Cocoa Board, will offtake all cocoa. And everyone knows to go there. So we want to sort of create the similar system, not with government fiat, but with private sector partnership. And that's where that comes in. So we will essentially be trying to do the work of Cocoa Board in the way that an Olam, a Cargill, and they will all be partners to this. Again, we're not looking to establish one party. We are looking to all work together to have a central way of looking at it. So that speaks to the how. As to the where, I mentioned the market. So the wholesale market in...
But where are you getting the money from? At what interest rates?
At what interest rates?
Who's going to pay back on it? Because you can't just buy food and sell on the secondary market to undercut middlemen. And have you factored in, also the business potential for the middlemen that you'll be cutting off? So
I'll tell you some of the interesting parties that want to use this process. The markets themselves are interested. Mile 12 market is a very key partner to this. The agri-processors are very interested. Today, in fact, we've had conversations with some of their infrastructure funding providers, and they're excited because some of what stops them from being able to access funding today is they cannot demonstrate effective demand and they cannot demonstrate effective supply. But if there's an aggregator that's large enough, that's working with them and supporting them, then we can feed them and then they can feed the rest of us. So it's working together with those partners, and we've already started having those conversations. We're talking again to the states.
So you don't have the money on ground, so it's just talking
So
stage.
I'll talk about the money.
Yeah.
So we don't have 500 billion on ground to distribute tomorrow,
okay.
But we do have commitments. We
Potential,
have commitments. We have commitments of up to 35 billion already.
Okay.
And you will see some of those go. And remember, it's not a loan; it's a guarantee. So we're backstopping.
Okay.
It's
not a loan; it's a guarantee.
It's a guarantee.
So what happens to the return on investment?
What happens to the return on investment?
Of the backstop of the guarantee you are having, the money.
So there's always a fee on guarantees as well. So if you know how the BOI model works, so whether it's a bank or now InfraCredit, they can provide a guarantee for a minimal amount. The same way insurance works. Okay. It's the same principle.
Okay, Mrs. Hammond, just before we go, because we're trying to wrap up, where are the farms?
So the farms are in all the various states. As Commissioner has mentioned, we're actually talking to 12 states. I think the 3 states she mentioned are states that we have gone very far.
So no farms in Lagos?
Oh, there are farms in Lagos. They're domestic farms in Lagos. You'll see them there tomorrow. You'll see them there tomorrow. So there are farms in Ikorodu.
Okay.
There are farms in Ekpe. Yes, there are farms all over the state. There are actually many farms in Lagos. I think that's one of the things we need to get out. People saying, oh, but Lagos doesn't have... Someone actually said Lagos doesn't have 1,000 hectares contiguous.
By talking about land and all of that.
Yes. So we do have active farmers that are working very much with the Ministry of Agriculture on various programs, not just on this, and their cooperatives. And for those who aren't part of cooperatives, we're putting them in clusters. So there are many different players, and I think you'll see a lot of them there tomorrow.
Okay.
Even Badagry.
Thank you, Mrs. Hammond.